God, please cover this live. Send your angels from the north, south, east, and west to cover this live. Speak through me. Humble my spirit so it's none of me and all of you. And speak what you want me to say. And not just what I think I'm supposed to say, or not just what I think sounds good, but what it is that you're saying in this season. So, in Jesus' name, amen. So, what made me even want to do this live was because I was watching, and I don't even know the young lady's name, but I was just watching a lady, and she was talking about, um, you know, fires and how, um, you know, fires is going to be hitting evil people or whatever. And it's so crazy that she would say that because I want to say it was like maybe 2 weeks ago, maybe three. I had a dream, and in this dream, I can't remember the specifics of the dream, and I told myself I'm going to start writing out my dreams. But in this dream, it was like this giant. I don't even know where the giant came from. But wherever the giant came from, it was like the giant was on fire, and it was walking. That part I remember, and I remember thinking like, I wondered to myself like, what did I eat before I went to bed? What I was thinking. But then I've noticed, and I want to say it probably started like when I really think back. It probably started about 2012. No, I take that back. I think God has been giving me prophetic dreams for a long time. I think I noticed them in my 20s. I think that's when I noticed them. Because I remember I would have dreams, and then the thing that I dreamed would end up happening, right? Like, I think I was married at the time, like maybe 1995, 94, somewhere around in there. And I remember dreaming that me and my ex was going to end up splitting up, and we was in a different place from where we was actually living. And then I remember having another dream where we got back together. Like, I was having these prophetic dreams, right? And it was so many of them. I was having so much that I just was like, I don't want to dream no more. Like, I really didn't, because it was just like too much for my soul. And so for a period of time, I didn't dream. I didn't have any dreams. But then I started going to. I was with Safe Haven, and I was going through the counseling session. The domestic violence counseling session thing. And the pastor was like, it was a pastor who was in charge of the counseling session, and she knew I wrote books, and so she said, God is about to give you a book in a dream. This was like 2012, and I had already written the book This Can't Be Love, and that whole series This Can't Be Love, the Love House and Ladies Delight, and Are You Ready to Open Your Gifts from God. I have already written all those books. When she was like, God gonna give you a new book in a dream. And when she told me that, I was like, okay, you know. But I really did have the dream. I had the dream, and the dream was so profound that I wrote it down. As soon as I woke up, I started writing. Right, as soon as I woke up, because it was like God gave me the dream like it was a movie. Like I seen it in the dream like it was a movie, and so I wrote down everything I saw in the dream. This was 2012. And the basis of this book was really about the spiritual warfare that was coming, right? The spiritual warfare between, you know, uh, forces that we can't see, the demonic forces we can't see, and angels who are, sent to protect us, to guide, humankind or whatever. That's what the dream was overall was about. So, but I held it for like 7 years because I'm just like, this is not the type of books that I normally write. And so I don't know, if I should be doing that. So I held the manuscript for 7 years. But in 2019, God told me to publish it. And so I published it. That same year, I want to say around August 2019, we started hearing, about the end of the 400-year curse, right? You started hearing about it, especially the African American community started hearing about it. The end of the 400-year curse. And that God was saying, let my people go. kind of like how he did, what he told Moses, when he was talking to the Pharaoh about his children, when he was talking, to Egypt to let, the children of Israel go. And if they didn't, that different things were going to start happening, different stuff, warnings. So when I released this in 2019, and then, with the ending of what all of us believe was the 400-year curse, it was like a warning of what was to come. So by, let me see, August, September, October, November, December. I really want to say it was before December. I want to say that the virus that none of us knew what it was probably hit around October, because that's when I remember people getting sick and nobody really knowing. They just thought it was another flu. They just thought it was a bad flu. It was 2019. They just thought it was a really bad flu. I remember going back home to Ohio, and I was just like, "There's a bad flu going around Atlanta right now." This was 2009 October. By December, it was obvious that something was up. I want to say, by January, February, we started hearing about the different politicians that were selling stock. And I remember even hearing about this company who had just started this thing where he was selling toilet paper. And it was just weird to me, right? I was just thinking, that's a wild thing to invest in, toilet paper, I wasn't thinking nothing about it. By, what was it, by March, April of 2020, the whole world shut down. A virus didn't just hit Atlanta or just the United States. This virus went all over the world and crumbled. I guess you could call it ecosystem. Like, it brought down the world. And that's when I started thinking, whoa. But then it took me back to another dream I had had. This was like 2001. And I remember I was living, and me and my ex-husband had separated. We were still married, but we separated. And I remember dreaming this dream. And in this dream, me and my ex-husband were in some kind of building. And the building that we were in, there was blood coming down the walls, and then all of a sudden it was people. Wherever I was in this dream, it was almost like one of those kind of malls type situation where there were stores on both sides. It was stores lining this way, and there were stores lining this way. There was like a walkway or open area in the middle, and people were just running like crazy. And I remember waking up from that dream like, what the freak is this? You know. And then 2 weeks later, Aaliyah's plane crashed. And I said, that must have been the dream. It must have been about, that we was about to lose Aaliyah, because most of us who grew up in that time, or who were, in that season, we loved Aaliyah. We loved the music, everything. So that was a big thing. That was like the first big death of an artist that really hit us beyond, Tupac and Biggie. That was unexpected. Nobody expected that. But then, like 2 weeks later, 9/11. 2 weeks later, and I started saying, God is speaking to His children through dreams, because I want to say last year, maybe beginning of last year, maybe the beginning of 2024, because I had moved into that. I want to say, or maybe in the middle of 2020, somewhere in 2024, I had this dream, and in this dream, there were planes falling out the sky. I'll never forget that. But I didn't say that because I'm like, ooh, that's crazy. I don't want nothing like that to happen. But then, so what that's telling me, because of these series of different dreams that I'm having, and then I'm seeing stuff pop up, is telling me that what God said in the Bible at Joel, and I think it's Joel 2:28. Let me go to Joel 2:28. Joel chapter 2, verse 28. It says, the promise of the Spirit. Now listen to what I'm saying here, right? Because I want you to understand. It says, the promise of the Spirit. It shall come about after this, that I shall pour out my Spirit on all mankind. And your sons and your daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Your young men will see visions. Even on the male and female servants, I will pour out my spirit in those days. Mm. And then it goes on, the day of the Lord, I will show signs and wonders, displaying my power in the heavens and on the earth. Mm. Blood and fire and columns of smoke. The sun will be turned into darkness and the moon into blood. Oof. So, and none of us really like to read Revelations because Revelations is scary. It really is. It's just like Lord, but you cannot. The one thing you can't deny what the Bible is already telling you. And the one thing that I have noticed since I've been reading the Bible, and I generally don't jump ahead, but this is something that I feel like I need to be releasing because God is releasing his word through his chosen vessels. There are people God is giving dreams to, he's giving warnings to, and he's letting you know what is to come. But everybody's not going to experience that hardship. Everybody's not. Because when you go, this morning, God gave me Deuteronomy, right? Deuteronomy chapter 8. He had me read Deuteronomy chapter 8. So when you read Deuteronomy chapter 8, it's really talking about the promises, right? There's blessings, there are many of you who, because of your past karma, because of the fact that you have been obedient, because you have been putting God first and you've been treating people right and you've been doing the best that you can in spite of tough situations, because you've been trusting God even when it didn't make sense, because you were, you continued to praise God even when, other people would have ran the other way, whatever. All the Deuteronomy 8 blessings, promises are coming to you, right? But on the same instance, you have those who, you have not been doing what God told you to do. You ain't been acting right. You ain't been doing right. You've been doing little sneaky stuff behind closed doors. You've been hurting people. You've been all that kind of stuff. Or God has already given you this level of status or these blessings or these things, and you ain't did right by him. And so in that same instance, Deuteronomy 8 is coming true in your life because you're going to experience the wrath. Either you're going to experience the blessings in this upcoming season or you're going to experience the wrath. So even when we go back to 2020, everybody didn't suffer. Jesus. Everybody didn't suffer. There was a large majority that suffered, but then you also had a large majority that prospered in that season. When you go back in the Bible, when you listen to what, when Moses was talking to the Pharaoh, and he was telling the Pharaoh what would happen if he didn't let his people go. The children of Israel didn't experience what the Egyptians went through. They were all in the same area, all in the same time frame, all in the same country. But the things that the Egyptians experienced, the things that happened because of Pharaoh, because of Pharaoh and what he did not do, did not happen to the children of Israel. But what really tripped me out is when in the Bible it says God hardened the heart of Pharaoh. It said God hardened his heart. That tells me that God hardened his heart because he really was trying to teach the children of Israel something. He was trying to show them something. He wanted them to understand that he was in control. Like, that he was, his power and what, like he was trying to teach the children of Israel something. God is releasing warnings. No doubt about it. When you're seeing all these natural catastrophes and these things that's happening in this time, this is the spiritual war that we are in. And God gave me the dream in this book. I promise you, God gave me this dream in this book. God told me in 2019 about the spiritual battle that was coming. Because you can see, if you look at it, you can see how he even made this cover. Now, when you go on Amazon or whatever, this is not the cover you're going to see, because this is the cover that I had made. But I think when I went through the publishing company, they created a different cover. But in the essence, you can see the power of this cover, because you can see, the darkness, which represents, those principalities and darkness and places that you can't see. And then you can see the angel with the wings, so you know that this is the angel and the spirit, they battling, right? And then you under that you see the city. You can see the city, right? So that's telling you that there's a battle going on that you cannot see with your natural eyes. And God has already given warning of this battle that was to come. He's already been releasing symbols in the atmosphere. He's already been telling the people of what is to come. And what you're seeing and what you're experiencing is just what God already said in the Bible. When you go to, these different areas in the Bible where he's telling you, God always gives warnings. He always gives warnings throughout the Bible from what I've been reading so far. He don't never just, and it just be the worst. No, he give warnings. And he be telling you, listen, this is what's going to happen. I'm blessing you with this. So this is a warning to all of you who God is about to bless you. Because there's many of you who you are walking into a new season. Jesus, you're walking into a new season of your life. And in this new season, you're going to have a war room. I love this book right here. I'm reading it right now. It's a movie too, but it's I actually got it from a secondhand store, but it's really powerful from what I'm reading right now. You're going to need to have a war room. And as God begins to bless you, which he's going to bless many of you are going into a new season of your life that you ain't never been this way before. You've been praying about God blessing you. You've been praying knowing that your time is coming. You done went through the most, whatever. And you're about to have that. But understand that with each new level, there's new things that's going on that you're going to have to stay in your prayer closet about, right? Because just because you have been blessed with this new business, this new finances, this new whatever it is that you've been praying for, whatever God has blessed you with that you've been praying about or that you're about to come into, please don't think that there's not going to be any type of opposition. The opposite team ain't went nowhere. Just because you have gone to the next level of elevation does not mean that the opposite team has disappeared. They still there, and your angels are going to be there with you. But just remember the promises and remember the warnings. He gave the same promises and warnings. He gave it to Joshua. He gave it to Moses. He gave it to Solomon. He gave it to the children of Israel throughout the book of Judges. The book of Judges is horrific. But each generation would not freaking listen. That was the whole thing. Like he would take the children of Israel through some drama. And they would be, the warfare would be so bad that they were humble and they would pray and they would ask God, please deliver us. And he would do that. He would send someone. It was during that season that he sent Gideon. He would do that. But then the next generation would come and they would be worse. Excuse me. Jesus. So anyway, you're going to need to get your prayer closets. You're going to need to keep God first as you elevate to this new level of where God is taking you to. And you're going to have to make sure that you keep him first. Do not allow the wealth and the money and the possessions and the things that are going to come, because they come with obedience. With the blessings that are coming are going to come, financial blessings and stuff for some people, But when you get them, just remember to keep God first. That's the whole thing about Deuteronomy 8 is like, listen, I'm about to bless you with just what I told you I was going to bless you with. I'm going to do just what I said I was going to do for you. But don't forget, right? But then there are some who you're going to be taking these new positions because there are people who are already in a position who ain't did right. They ain't did right. And so they are being removed. Just like God replaced Saul with David. First, Saul was chosen. Saul was the chosen one. But Saul, once he got up there and got the fame, the fortune, and the power and stuff, he started wanting to do things his own way, and he didn't want to go by what God had told him. He didn't want to do that. He wanted to do it his own way. And so because of that, he lost his position. And it was given to David, right? There are many of you that God is, you're replacing somebody. Jesus. You're being elevated to replace someone who lost their position. There are many people who have been given great fame and fortune in this season and places of leadership, but because they didn't do right, because they didn't heed to the warnings, because they didn't heed to the Deuteronomy 8 warnings, because they didn't listen to what, Joshua told the children of Israel before, after he led them into the promised land. Because they didn't listen, they lost their spot. And God is bringing somebody else up the ranks. And let me tell you something. These people that are coming up the ranks, they may not be people that you know. Because he may choose the Davids, the ones who have been working in the field. And don't nobody know their name. Don't nobody really know who they are. You don't know who they are. Because God has been training them on the backside of the mountain. They've been working inside the cave. God has kept them hidden. But as these people who are already up here in this area who are losing their positions and they're coming down, God is replacing them with the ones who he believed is going to listen to him. And the reason why he believed that they're going to listen to him is because they've already gone through the wilderness. And during the wilderness, they were listening to him. That's what Deuteronomy is saying. He said you was tested. You went through all that because he had to test you and make sure that you was ready. Because you understand that when you go to this new level is going to have some fierce stuff going on here. And you got to be ready. You got to be ready. If you're not ready, then you're going to end up, falling into the wickedness of this world. And then God ain't going to be able to use you. And then he's going to place you. Listen, you better get your war closet or your prayer room or whatever it is. And you better start praying. And trusting God. But as you do, God is going to be speaking to you. And there's many of you that he has chosen. See, God gives gifts to different people. So there's some of you who God has given you the gift of prophecy. Some of you have been given the gift of dreams. Pay attention to your dreams. Because it already says in the Bible at Joel 2:28 that he's going to be speaking to his children through dreams and visions. It says it. So when I just heard somebody tell the lady, "You're not a prophet." How you gonna tell her what she is? How you gonna tell her that she's not that God is not using her prophetically? I don't claim myself to be a prophet or nothing like that, but I know that God gives me dreams. And I'm watching these dreams really come to pass, these warnings and things of that nature. I'm seeing it. And so now I got to take it serious because God is giving warnings to his people. I could not understand why God had me create this book. I could not. And call it the symbol. But God is releasing his warnings. So when you rise to this new level that God is taking you to, because you already know, and for the people that I'm talking to, you already know. You know that your season is changing. You know that God's about to do something. You can feel it in your spirit. You've been doing whatever God has been telling you to do privately in your own prayer time. You've been doing it. You've been following, because you believe that something is about to happen. You believe that God is about to do something. You can feel it. It's something in the atmosphere. It's a way that you're I don't know how to explain it, but the people who you're feeling this, you know what I'm talking about. And then it's like every video, everything you see, everything is telling you. It's in confirmation because God will always confirm his word. God will never give a word and not confirm it through other sources that are not connected, because it's never really about the person. It's not about the vessel. It's not about who releases the message. It's about the fact that he is releasing a message, and he releases it through different ways because he understands that everybody don't hear the same. And some people will be able to receive things from certain people, and some people won't. Everybody's not going to be receptive to the same type of vessel. So God has different vessels. But these different vessels are all saying the same thing. That's because God is talking to you in this season. So whatever it is that He's telling you to do, or whatever the dreams that He's giving you, and these dreams, and you're starting to notice that there is something about these dreams. Because you remember, Joseph was a dreamer. Joseph didn't understand what he was dreaming about. He really didn't. When you read the book of Genesis, Joseph, he just was like, "Wow, I had this dream," and God blessed him with the ability to interpret what those dreams meant, and then blessed him to be able to interpret other people's dreams. And that's what took him from the prison to the palace. God has, you, I'm telling you, in this season, God has chosen vessels that He's speaking to you. And you have words that you're supposed to release in the atmosphere, or you have work that you're supposed to do in the atmosphere. This is that season. And so you're coming from the back to the front. God is taking you from not being seen to being seen. He's taking you from private to public. He's taking you from the bottom to the top. He's taking you from jail to the palace. Like, He's doing that. He's doing that. And the people who have been holding, the gatekeepers, Jesus, who have been holding that all that time, who have not been doing God's will, He's removing them. And that's public too. I seen that people was really disrespecting this lady when she was talking about, what she felt God spoke to her. And I'm like, you can be mad about what you're hearing all you want to, but you're seeing the proof. You can be like, oh, whatever, but you're seeing the proof. And natural disasters, things that are happening, but you try to figure out what in the holiest macaroni is going on here. You're seeing the proof. So whether or not you have one particular vessel that you like to listen to more than the other don't matter. Because you'll start to notice that they're all kind of saying the same thing. Because God is releasing a word. He's releasing warnings and promises. And for those of you who these warnings and promises are for, you're going to know it. You're going to know whether or not it's a warning, or you're going to feel like, oh, God, I've been hearing, or you're going to notice that the promise is for you because you know you've been living right. And you know what God been speaking to you on the backside of the mountain. They don't, in the Bible, don't talk about what David was thinking about while he was tending to the sheep and playing the music. But I bet you God was speaking to him. Bet you God was speaking to him. He just wasn't telling nobody what God was saying to him. God probably already showed him visions and dreams and things that was to come, or what God was about to do in his life, because God will always release His promises to you before He do it. So you'll know that it's coming from Him, because He don't want you to think that it was you. Oh, I know. The reason why you're about to get what you're about to get is because God has decided that He can trust you. He believes that you will be the one who will do what it is that He's calling you to do in this season. See, you don't even understand the gifts and stuff that you were born with. That's your reason for being here. But you had to be in the wilderness. You had to go through the backside of the mountain. You had to go through the fire. You had to go through, because God had to make sure that you was ready. He can't put His soldiers out on the front line and y'all ain't ready. Y'all got to be ready. He can't have his divine helpers and His earthly angels out here, and y'all ain't ready for the forces that's coming, that's out here, that you can't see with your natural eyes. Jesus. You got to make sure you're ready. That's why you've been going through what you've been going through with your family and your friends and your job and your health, and you can't understand what the freak is going on, and why me, and how come. Why not you? You've been chosen. That's why. You've been chosen. So find that prayer closet. Find that place in your house somewhere, where you can spend that one-on-one time with God in the morning, and just pray over your family, and pray over, your loved ones, and pray over your decisions, and just, get into your word and start reading the Bible, or do what it is that God is telling you to do in this season, because you are in a season of elevation and things are about to start changing. But understand that the opposite team is still there. They ain't went nowhere. So the higher that you rise in your purpose and in your calling, the stronger the opposition becomes. It's kind of like being in school, right? Elementary school. Elementary school, you start learning your letters, and private school, preschool, you starting to figure out, that's an A and that's a B, and then in each class builds on the class before. So now we're in second grade, third grade, we understand how to build sentences and all that kind of stuff, and the numbers and math, and we're going up through these classes. And now we're in high school and we're understanding, the paraphrases and all the things that goes into the structure of a sentence, and we're understanding algebra and geometry, and then we're getting to college, and then boom, now we're in life, and we got to use everything we learned over those last 12 years to prepare us to take care of ourselves in the world, because things get harder, and now you got to really lean back on the things you learned through them 12 years to get you through. The same way when God is taking you through different levels of spiritual elevation, He's not gonna put no preschool baby Christian on the front line, because he know you ain't gonna be able to handle, the principalities of darkness. You will crumble. So he got to get you ready. So you got to go through the wilderness, and you got to fight little battle on little battle, and each little battle that you fight will lead you to a bigger battle. A bigger battle will lead you to another battle, until the point that you're ready. You're ready for these streets. You ready for whatever the enemy got. And it don't mean that you're not going to go through some stuff to make you fall down to your knees, but you're going to understand how to go to your prayer closet. And you're going to know how to pray your way through it. And you're going to understand that. That's what this is about. That's what this season is about. So, yeah. It ain't no joke about the stuff that's happening and it's coming. God already talked about it. He already let you know. And don't be doubting people. You got to pray and ask, is this message for me? Of course, because every word is not for you. But most of the time, your spirit is going to be drawn to something, because God will have already been talking to you about it. You understand what I'm saying? So, if you come across somebody's life and there's something about it that draws you, and God already been talking to you about it for the last week, 2 weeks, month, year, you've been having dreams about whatever, and somebody comes and they speak exactly what God has already been showing you, then most likely, and especially be like, Lord, is this for me? And then the confirmation is still there, then that message is for you. Bottom line, that message is for you. God is speaking to you, because he's going to use different entities that are not connected when he wants to get a word out to you, when he has a message for you. And sometimes the messages or the vessels that he uses may not be people that you even know, or things that you would even expect, because God, he uses different ways to talk to his children. But I just felt led today to get on here and just speak about what that young lady was saying about the fires, and that some of the evil places or whatever is going to be caught on fire and all that kind of stuff, only because I had that dream. And I told myself, and I advise you too, maybe start writing down your dreams. Keep a log of your dreams, because it already says in Joel 2:28 that God was going to be releasing his Holy Spirit on his children. And old men would dream dreams, and young men would see visions. So that means that God is, for those of us who are having dreams, especially the older population of us, the older us, we're having dreams, and God is releasing dreams to us, and we're telling them to you. He's releasing warnings through dreams. He's releasing promises through dreams. He's giving you a glimpse of what is to come, not so that you will be scared, but just so that you will be prepared and you will understand that he's speaking to you, and so that you will grow closer to him. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's about getting closer to him. So find that place in your home, that closet, Make that place somewhere where you go and you talk to God. Just you and him, one-on-one. Pray about over your family, over, or whatever's going on with you, because God wants you to come to him and speak to him. And I know y'all probably like, oh, y'all biblical crazy people. Man, if you really think we just pulled out of a river somewhere and from a tadpole to human beings to creating all this kind of stuff, and there is not no heaven, there's not no God or whatever, if you really think that, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You can't really believe that. You cannot really believe that. You can't really believe it's just a big bang, boom, and all of a sudden here we are with consciousness and we're building skyscrapers and cars and stuff. You can't really believe that. You know everything starts from something. You know that. You've got to know that. And if everything started from something, and you'll notice that when you follow the principles that you see in the Bible about certain, because to me the Bible is, you'll see the stuff come to pass. Let me finish my sentence. What I've noticed so far with reading the Bible is really the testimony of different people who God gave dreams and visions and information to. And when he gave them that information and dreams and visions or whatever, it was to lead the people. It was always that. Or if they were going through a battle in their life, it was their faith and trusting in God, in the higher power, knowing that God was going to bring them through, and God was giving them instructions on how to win the battle, that they would win. And or what, like, that's what the Bible is all about. It's about faith, love, trusting God, having faith in him, and how to overcome the different battles in your life, and listening to him and know that he is the great I am. I remember I had this dream one time, and in this dream, and I always talk about it because my dreams be off the chain. I'm like, what did I eat last night? I be thinking, like, what the heck did I eat? But in this dream, it was like all these colors. It was one source, right? But all these different colors was beaming out of this one source. And when I told a friend of mine about that, she said, that's just God showing you that, there are different avenues, but one God. These different beams of light is different, different lanes, different people believing in God, everybody may not think the same thing, but it's all coming from one source. So that's why I just wanted to, because they was going in on the young lady, and I was just like, that ain't nothing but a distraction. They didn't like what she was saying, because people don't like to hear about warnings. Don't nobody want to hear about warnings. Most of us don't even want to get to Revelations. I'm like, woo, I hope I got a lot of chapters to go before I get to Revelations, because we know that Revelations is where it get down to the get down, and don't nobody really want to hear about what's to come, right? We don't want to hear about that. Jesus. So, hello, is it leaky? So get your prayer closet, right? That's your war room. It's the power of prayer that changes things. You understand what I'm saying? It's the power of prayer. The power of prayer can cover your home. It can cover your relationships. It can cover your job. It can cover your children. There is something about the power of prayer, but just don't be afraid, and understand, about the warnings, because God already let you know that there are battles that you can't see with your natural eyes that's going on, and that there are angels that are watching over you. It's time. Okay, that's my clue. It's time to go. So anyway, God is speaking to his children. Joel 2:28. Through 29. Read that whole little Joel 2, chapter 2. I've been starting my days off with reading the Bible and stuff, and God's just been speaking to me. So, and when I saw that, I just felt the need to come out here and just let y'all know. No, he don't want us to be afraid. He wants us to trust him. He wants us to trust him. And he wants us to have wisdom. And he wants us to use our spiritual weapons. That's what he wants to do. He ain't trying to have us in fear, but he is letting you know about the promises and the warnings. Deuteronomy 8. It's just, that is what it is. Anyway, I gotta go. I'll be back later. Peace and love, y'all.